Thank you so much for welcoming us into your homes. It's a very uncomfortable Tuesday evening, one that definitely is rattling, to our mental health, to our perception of society, but one which I have no doubt is towards the building of a better nation. Pastor Benjy is taking us on his journey that he has chronicled in his book, I Conquered My Desert, and he's taking us on the route that led him to the man that he is. He has overcome rape, amongst many other things. And I'm so appreciative of the honesty that you have shared with us up to now. In terms of your relationship with women, was there ever a point where you thought, I can love again? Because one thing about pain is that it overshadows everything. It overshadows kindness, it overshadows love, it overshadows long-heartedness. There's nothing that you can see good about the next person except the pain.
True that. For a period of 4 years, I remember after my divorce, at work, women would throw themselves at me. Women who find you attractive, and I was just not interested. To a point, they started questioning my sexuality. They just didn't know how angry I was. I wanted nothing to do with them. I felt unsafe around them. Whenever I was around a female, I felt like they're going to hurt me. Looking back at what happened since my childhood. Whenever there was a potential wife-to-be, I would think, nope, I cannot go through what I went through again. So it was a very excruciating process whereby as a man, you need a woman whom God says is a suitable helper. Yet, the trauma says, The wound say, not again, beaten once too many times.
You get to the point where you are seriously now saying, I cannot continue like this. What makes the mental shift to say, really there is an unresolved issues, and if I don't attend to this, from here on, it's downhill?
I remember this particular, it was late in the evening, I was at work and I was working late. Rooftop, I was having a conversation with God. Because after my attempt to kill myself and all that, God was just silent. He was silent. I was having this conversation with God, but He reminded me that He brought me here for a purpose. That I'm not a mistake. Actually, God reminded me that where I am is not where He designed me to be. He made me realize that I shifted from Him. I thought God had neglected me, abandoned me, but I had actually shifted from the position that God put me on. Not only did I go for counseling, I mentioned in the previous episode, deliverance. Crucial. The two go along together and they match. In most cases, we separate them, or we do one, we ignore the other. Deliverance was the most important, season for me, because all these things that happened since my childhood, they were still there, waiting for another opportunity. There was going to be my other aunt. There was going to be my other rapist. There was going to be my other ex-wife waiting. There was going to be my other father who neglected me and abandoned me and all that. When, the trauma was busy with me, I'm a father to 3 boys. I would be very cautious with females around my boys. Their aunts, even if it's a family member, I'd be worried because I'm thinking, what happened to him might just happen to my boys. So I was very sensitive and observant and, overprotective, you understand? And how are you going to be able to move on, when you're like that? Always cautious and looking around, your shoulders. So that is why I had to undergo deliverance as well, so that I can relax and move on.
Just to interject there, your statement kind of, kind of takes me back to during the school holidays, right? We normally pack off and ship our girl children. We ship them, we don't even give consideration. And oftentimes, even when we ship them away to relatives, and so we always warn them. Malume aska home. Uncle so must never touch you. Seldom do we ever speak to our male children and say, hey. In fact, we are so protective of our girl children. Our boy children, it doesn't cross one's mind that they may be in danger.
Thank you for that point, Mangwepe. I'll give you a practical example of what happened. When my wife and I bought a house, where we stay right now, in the sitting room area, I discovered that there was a brown mark, stain. So I got white paint, I painted the ceiling. The brown mark is not there anymore. After a couple of days, it came back and then there was another one. Now there's two of them. I went back, took the paint again and painted it. It was a rainy season. Now there's more than two marks. And I'm like, oh, this is a bigger problem. I've been trying to paint these stains, but they're not going away. I had to get a stepping ladder, climb up in between the roof and the ceiling, try to discover what the problem is. The problem was not my ceiling, it was my roof. I found the holes on the roof and I fixed my roof. All this other time I was busy fixing my ceiling. It's a good thing we have the Ministry of Women and Children. It's a good thing we're having women fellowships, women conferences where they talk about issues. It's beautiful. But I promise you, we could be busy trying to fix the ceiling while the problem is the roof. I can assure you, the roof is the one that goes through all kinds of weathers. The storm, the rain, the wind, the hot sun. If we can just fix our roof, we will no longer have to go back and fix our ceiling.
The rate of domestic violence within marriage, the rate of violations, with our women, the murders of women, the many ills of our women. You believe, and this I believe is from your own interaction with men in the ministry, that interacting with men is what can cure many of these ills.
By helping a man to heal, we could be preventing possible future crimes. We want to combat gender-based violence against women and children. Who is majority perpetrators? Men. How much are we investing on healing men? Is it helping, taking them to jail? When you've broken the law, of course, you need to go to jail. Most of them, they come back and they're worse. Can't we use the same resources that we use to protect women and children and invest on healing perpetrators? And go back to the statistics of femicide, homicide, suicide, women and children abuse. The thing is, with the boy child, you get to realize, Hore, the fact that we are ignoring this boy, it catches up. And when it catches up with us or with this boy, it becomes a generational thing. I grew up seeing my father beat up my mother. So whenever a woman gives you a hard time, a solution is
Beat up.
another point. Mothers, aunts, and grandmothers and big sisters innocently walk around naked in front of their boys. It's my son, it's my baby brother, it's my nephew. We don't realize that we are grooming a potential future rapist. It's the small things that become big issues in the future.
Profound.
We need to look into that.
Yo.
So if we can groom a boy who will know the importance of respecting a woman's body from being that little boy, then when he becomes a man, there's a foundation. He won't disrespect women based on what he saw when he was a child. We ignore these things, they catch up with us at some point in the future.
I want to understand what goes on in the mind of, someone who has been raped as a male. Is it a matter of if I speak, what are people going to say about me? Is it a matter of if I'm vocal? Sure, the stigma. Yo, ke bari ba mo rapile o. As if, you ask for it.
I mentioned on the previous episode that I felt like reporting to the police, but thinking they're going to say, what you're saying doesn't make sense. Because it makes a bit of sense if you were raped by a man, But if it's a woman, I promise you, Mangwepe, I have a large number of men who were sexually abused by women. And it's still difficult for them to talk about it now. I'm talking about men that I'm working together with, ministering to them, trying to help them, going through a process with them. It's difficult. And he says, my bedroom affairs with my wife are not where they're supposed to be because of what happened. There are those whom their wives think they are cheating. Because this thing comes, whenever they have to be intimate, this thing comes back and it affects the bedroom affairs. And the wife is thinking, what's wrong with you? What, did you start somewhere else, or are you busy somewhere else? And now when it comes to me, you can't fulfill your duties.
Ish.
And unfortunately, if we can have the fathers of today to heal, we're going to have a problem with the fathers of tomorrow. There's no ways that if I'm messed up now, then my son will be better tomorrow while I'm the one who's raising him. But if I heal, if I confront my hidden shameful pain, then my son will be a better husband. He'll be a better man. He'll be a better community leader. Because I've taught him and trained him to be human.
Let's speak about the, uncomfortability of going through a healing journey. Because most of us really we think it's very easy. and I love how you accurately titled your foundation, Opening a Can of Worms. Because it's an internal dialogue as well. It's an internal struggle. Am I willing to? I remember with my own journey, there were instances where my husband would find me in the bathtub, crying as if what I was crying about happened yesterday. The willingness to feel the pain afresh, the willingness to cry.
It's part of the process. You avoid it, it goes wherever you go with you. You have to go through that journey. And many a times you want to go back and pull out. But unfortunately, you pull out, it's waiting for you ahead there. It is tough. I know it personally, and I'm seeing it with the men that I'm busy with. When you're trying to help someone. But it helps when you've gone through something and you know that someone wants to pull out, but you understand why they're trying to pull out because you've been there. And you become so patient, with them, and you persevere because now you have to deal with this other character in them that would offend you. experience helps you. The grace of the Lord, the wisdom from above, helps you, to hold on and, keep loving this person until they break
They
through.
experience their breakthrough. But I love what you said, and you're saying, but I'm no longer a victim now.
I'm a victor. We are healed to bring healing to the silently wounded soldiers.
And hence you say, I conquered my desert.
What is a desert? An isolated place. No food, no water, no life. Who wants to live in the desert? I don't want to be. Do you want to live in the desert?
No, I don't want hopelessness.
Of course. That's a desert where you feel isolated, rejected, neglected, where you feel all alone. Stigma suffocating you.
And like reading the book, graphic. As an author myself, I'm looking at how you tell it like it is. You say this was the beginning of a nightmare. That's how you call it. And, you say, my rapist was telling me to brace myself for multiple rapes to come. She took advantage of my home situation. She was preparing me for a journey as her sex machine. I mean, she just knew how much I was struggling without her in my life. She simply reminded me that without her, poverty was my portion.
Oh, yes.
The marriage between poverty and abuse.
The one thing about perpetrators, they look at your weaknesses. They check your vulnerability, and they take advantage of that. She took her time and observed me. She made me believe that if I don't continue with this, then I'd be hungry. Then I'll no longer have clothes. I'll no longer have clothes. She made me believe that I wanted this to happen. I loved this. Hence, I say I started feeling like a man trapped in a boy's body. The boy within me would cry, and the man would suppress and say, "Shut up. We are a man now." It got to a point whereby she started spicing things up with pornography. She would buy pornography cassettes. Wow. Back then, we were using VCRs. You remember that? She'd buy pornography cassettes and spice up things, and now so that we try new things. I'd be so tired. Obviously, now I'm doing shifts. I'm doing night shifts. I have to go to school tomorrow. At school, the smart boy that I was, there I am, tired, falling asleep. The teacher, everybody knows how smart I am. Like, hey, what's wrong? And I'd come up with lame excuses. They didn't know that I was multitasking. I was doing a lot of things. And I mean it when I say I didn't feel like a victim anymore. I was sure that this is what I want. Especially the more it kept on happening was the more I suppressed that boy who was saying, no, this is not right. This is killing me. I suppressed him.
Are you completely healed?
I love your question. The fact that I got deliverance, yes, I'm healed. Some of these things, do they come? I noticed with my wife now. There was this particular day I was supposed to pick her up elsewhere. She was waiting for me, and now I'm thinking, let me sort this out first, quickly. And she's calling me, I'm driving, the phone is on the passenger seat. I'm not aware, I'm not picking up, I'm delaying. Because I think I wanted to buy something for us to be able to eat, because I'm thinking, it's late, we're not going to be able to cook. I get to where I'm supposed to pick her up, she's not happy with me. She's expressing herself. Her face tells me she's not happy. And when I looked at her, I saw my ex-wife. I saw my ex-wife. And I started seeing, and I started picturing the physical abuse, the emotional abuse, the careful words. You're not man enough. All that came to me. And I realized that some of these things you start, what do you
There
call
will
them?
be
Yeah,
triggers.
they're triggers. But the moment there's a trigger, that's my principle. Deal with it. Hence, I'm saying, always have someone you look up to. Go to them once you identify the trigger. Don't be ignorant. Once you notice the trigger, deal with it. And that's what I do.
Protecting your mental space in terms of, where you are at now. Because, an occurrence of this, it gives you more wisdom. You don't go through such a blaze of fire and come out not having learned
No
anything.
ways. No ways. It can't be. Otherwise, something is wrong.
Yeah.
Something is wrong. I mean, there's no ways gold will undergo fire and come out still dust, unless it escaped. Diamond has to go through scientific pressure. And if it didn't go through the entire process, then it will be cold. But if the entire process took place, diamond. So I cannot be cold when I went through the entire process. I have to be the diamond. I'm always tell men, especially marriage-wise, if I knew the things that I know now, I wouldn't have filed for divorce. I wouldn't have divorced my ex-wife. But I guess, this was meant for now. Because what I know now makes me understand what I'm about, my purpose. I know more about my purpose. I know more about my duties as a man, as a husband, as a father, my responsibility. I know better.
What can we look forward to from Pastor Benjy with the ministry, with helping others, with the, I love the dedication and commitment and the passion behind your healing?
Let me start with my dream. I dream of a South Africa that allows men to be human. If any government official is watching this program, if the president would be watching this program, let's invest our resources and time on the male seed. That is how we protect the women and our children. Knowing my godly purpose now, I want to be remembered as someone who touched people's lives and took nothing from them. My intention is to reach out to another man before he becomes a victim of suicide, before he's arrested for homicide or femicide. One man at a time. One man at a time. And it shall happen. And it's my dedication. This is what I was born for. Once you discover your purpose, nothing stands in your way. Especially when the ministry starts and all kinds of challenges come, people question you and they ask you difficult questions, but because the Holy Spirit is with you, the dream that I have, I know it's gonna come true. Maybe not when I'm alive, maybe 2 or 3 years after my death, but I know it's gonna come true because it comes from the Father. It's not about me, it's about God. A male is being attacked by the enemy because he wants to destroy the entire society.
Yes.
We will heal the male seed and will have a healthier and safer society. And I volunteer to be among the people who will do whatever it takes for that to be fulfilled.
Our parting thoughts to you today. The male seed must rise. Fathers in a nation must rise. If our boys are to become men, we need for fathers now to stand in the gap. Our society is hemorrhaging from within. Our prisons are filled to capacity. simply because the boy child has neglected his feelings and he has not been encouraged to speak. My prayer for our country is that institutions that can be of help must rise up. My prayer for our country is that while we groom young women and we tell them how they must be prepared for marriage, can we groom them as a child and show them how to become a man? Can the men who are leading accurately, as they should, not shy away and not let the light of what they are doing flicker from under the table? It's not the wickedness of evil that rises and propels evil. It's the silence of a few good men. We need good men to speak up. We need good men to act. If we, as your women, if we, as your sisters, as your mothers, are going to be preserved. The good Lord bless you. The good Lord gives you the courage that you need to fight the fight of faith and the fight for your healing. This is Healing Conversations with me, Tabise Mwepe. Let's do this again next week.
Get yourself a copy of our latest books, The Mending of a Broken Vessel and Maintaining Your Joy, a journal for daily positive living. Visit a bookstore near you.